Good morning, my name is Stephanie and I'm a freelance Christian writer, and this is my vlog about reaching 24 weeks of pregnancy, which is the date that most kind of medical professionals give as what they call viability, and I'll explain a little bit more about what that means. So yeah, I'm a 30-year-old, I've got one son already, I've had many miscarriages and write a lot about mental health on my Substack. But today is all about the next baby, and yeah, so I have quite a busy day planned with trying to get some writing done, taking my son to nursery. I have a GP appointment, the shopping is coming with the groceries delivery, so yeah, come with me and I'll chat to you more. Eat your cereal. Eat your cereal. Please. So after dropping my son at nursery, I went to Cafe Nero because my blood pressure felt a bit low and I felt a bit dizzy, so I went to fuel myself with hot chocolate, and then walked home again. But I had forgotten how much I appreciated just kind of sitting in silence solo in a coffee shop without an agenda or anything to do. So highly recommend just sitting and being for a bit. So as I said in the kind of intro bit, today I reached 24 weeks of pregnancy, which means that we have hit viability, which is really exciting. Viability is basically the point at which, if a baby is born, like if my baby was born today, there is a better chance of survival because lungs have kind of almost fully developed. They're not quite there yet, so if I were to go into labor or kind of have any threatened preterm labor, they would probably give me a shot of steroids to kind of increase the capacity of the lungs. But it's just a really exciting day for getting to that point of kind of saying, yes, like this baby is viable. Obviously there are still chances, there are still things that go wrong, there are still many families every year who kind of go through tragic circumstances beyond this point, but for me, as someone who's experienced many miscarriages and has a lot of pregnancy anxiety, this is a really big day. So I'm gonna kind of take you through the day just as a regular kind of day of my life vlog, but also kind of talk a little bit about where I'm at with pregnancy, what's kind of going on. My background looks different. So yeah, here we go. So I just packed away the Tesco shopping. I get it delivered at the moment, and it is more helpful because it means that while I'm at home, we can actually spend like the weekend together as opposed to doing chores, which is nice. But I don't know about how they do it where you are, but they'll often like bring the trays and then like put them on the floor, and I was like bending down and it just like didn't make me feel great. And I know they can't like bring it in and unpack it for you, but I really wish that, and I appreciate why they don't put them in the carrier bags anymore, but I really wish they did, because it's a bit of a pain to kind of unpack the shopping on the ground, especially when you're pregnant. So anyway, but I figured I would give you a kind of more detailed pregnancy update while I wait for my lunch to cook. I'm eating pasta again, which I don't always eat, but I find it a really good lunchtime meal because it's obviously like full of carbohydrates that get you through the rest of the day, and I like it, and I can guarantee that I will eat it, so that's good. So in the last video I made, I talked about hyperemesis. If you haven't seen it, I'd encourage you to watch it if that's relevant to you. My hyperemesis has got a lot better. So around 20 weeks, things began to kind of improve. And I haven't taken or needed to take the antiemetics since around then, which is good because they were beginning to make me feel a bit dizzy, to the point maybe they were a contributing factor, I'm not sure, but I did pass out at one point around 20 weeks, and that wasn't very pleasant. So anyway, hyperemesis appears to have improved, but there's still moments of like feeling really sick or having kind of very strong food aversions for the whole day. Hyperemesis improved. 24 weeks is viability, as I mentioned before, and that means that, as I said, baby has a much better chance of survival if it were to be born now than it was even kind of a few days ago. Hard to know, of course, and hard to predict what would happen if a baby was to be born today, but those are the statistics, so it's a good day. We found out at 20 weeks that baby is a girl. That's exciting. I already have a son, so I guess it's nice to have one of each, but I had a kind of intuition that it was a girl, but you can't really do anything with that. So yes, that was good to discover. It was kind of interesting actually, because I had believed it was a girl up until about like 18-19 weeks. I hadn't done anything about it, but I like really strongly felt like it was a girl, and so I didn't we didn't think about any names for boys. I was so worried about being disappointed that it was a boy that I began to kind of work myself up into believing it was a boy, and then ended up being a little bit kind of shell-shocked when they told me it was a girl, which was kind of strange. Let me just put the pasta in. What was I saying? Oh, so I was a bit shell-shocked that when they told me it was a girl, and so I wasn't actually like excited, or I didn't really have any like emotions about it until a bit later in the day. We also had to have a fetal echo because my son was born with a hole in his heart, which actually like a fair amount of babies are, and so it's not usually discovered, but because he was in the children's hospital with pneumonia, they did a infant echo on him just to see if that was contributing to kind of why he was so unwell. It did heal kind of naturally, and so it's not
we weren't massively concerned, but the fetal echo that we had with a baby girl was all clear, and so that was good as well. The scan at 20 weeks was kind of interesting because it took a very long time for them to do it, because she was just in the absolutely wrong position, and so we were there for like 45 minutes before they kind of decided, okay, this might not work, we might need you to like go for a walk and come back. And like, anyway, when they did the echo, she'd moved, and so they managed to do the measurement then. But yeah, so that was kind of funny, frustrating. Had to kind of jump around a lot and see if she would move, and she just didn't want to move, which is actually similar to what happened with our son. But he did move, but he started off in like a terrible position and then returned to said terrible position at the end. Other things that have happened, I've kind of begun to experience the kind of joy of pregnancy pains that I had with my son. And so I did have to go get checked out at the hospital a few days ago. Mainly because if it had been preterm labor, they would have needed to like really act quickly if the baby had been born. And so they weren't super duper worried. But obviously if the pain had been a symptom of preterm labor, they would have needed to act quickly. So had to go in, but that's fine. I had to go in a lot with my son, so I was used to it, but that didn't happen until 31 weeks. But we were at 23, and so I was like, oh no, this could be a very long road. But they did a test called the actin partus test, which is a newer test that basically sees if you're secreting a hormone that means you could go into labor in the next week or so. That was negative, so that was good. That doesn't mean I don't need to get checked out if I'm experiencing pain or anything like that. But it does mean, I think they said it was like 98% chance that I wouldn't go into labor in the next week if I wasn't secreting this hormone. So that was good. So yeah, pregnancy is like both wonderful and terrible. I think it's important to acknowledge that pregnancy is different for everyone, and so for some people it really is smooth sailing, really fun, wonderful experience. For others it is the exact opposite of that. I probably fall somewhere closer to it's been a terrible experience, but I know that it has been a lot worse for lots of people. So I'm grateful that the hyperemesis cleared up. That doesn't happen for everyone, but it still hasn't been great. So now that we've reached viability, I've kind of sighed a lot of relief. That doesn't mean I want the baby to come, because she would be very unwell if she did come now, but it does mean that we're kind of past the halfway point and things should should be easier. Who knows? But yeah, so this morning I have done very little. I took a nap. I went to the GP to get something checked out, which ended up being fine. Took my son to nursery in reverse order. Did I say I took a nap? Yeah, I think I did. And obviously the groceries came, so I'll try and get some actual writing done this afternoon, which is supposedly the thing that I do with my time in the day, and then I have some calls later, but yeah, we'll see. So lunchtime.
So it's actually been a few days now since I recorded those other clips. It's now Friday, that was Monday. I got quite overwhelmed in the afternoon with the pressure I was putting on myself to continue working even though I didn't feel great. So that wasn't wonderful. And the last few days have been just a bit more chaotic, and the feeling unwell didn't go away, so I did actually have to go back to the hospital, and where they repeated that test and kind of checked me out and stuff, and everything's like fine from a clinical perspective, but I still don't feel well. It's really difficult. It's to kind of distinguish between I have an intuition that I'm unwell and something's wrong and this baby's going to come early, and my anxiety that I'm unwell and that she's going to come early and that everything's going to fall apart. It's really hard to distinguish between those two things, and we won't know if my intuition that she's going to come early is right until she comes. And I'm not very good at sitting in that space, and so I'm always like struggling with that question of like, do I call? I don't want to be the person who calls like every week or every few days. What they're gonna think, they're gonna judge me, they're gonna think I'm crazy. Like, are they gonna look at the fact I have a mental health diagnosis on my record and say she's a bit unlikely to be all there, which like is annoying, and also depending on the day may be fair. So anyway, but I said I would talk a little bit more about kind of where things are at. We did move house. As you can tell, the background is different and the books are an absolute mess. Like, they are not in the right order and it is driving me nuts. But I do not have the capacity yet to sit and go through them all. We moved to be close to family. You can read about it on my Substack if you care to. And I think with me feeling sick and not really having it wasn't that I had a negative experience in Cambridge, it's just that it never really got to the place where it felt positive because I was so sick. Like, we moved in April, I started being sick in June, like, and so I really like Cambridge, like, and I like the people that we met there. And so I don't think it was a mistake, but I do think that it was also right to kind of say, look, like, I really do kind of want to be around family. Cambridge is really expensive. I don't think, like, I want to keep justifying this, like, expense in rent and all the other things that cost a lot in Cambridge. Like, my husband commutes, so finding another place where he could commute from was important, and we kind of moved to kind of somewhere in the West Midlands where there's really good access to London through the railway, and like, one of my sisters lives here, one of my other sisters lives close as well, so like, it just feels a lot nicer, and we can have a house where actually both children will get their own room, and there's space for like a guest room. Like, it just feels a lot like we've got a family home and stuff. Anyway, so that's kind of one of the things that we did. It did mean moving all of my medical care over, which was actually as more smooth sailing than I thought, other than the fact that for GDPR I couldn't request my own medical records to be moved to a new trust in the NHS. The new trust and new midwives had to request it, and they didn't even get all of the information, which is a bit strange, but I don't understand. So anyway, so I like had to go and have my bloods redone. I had to go and meet new midwives and all of that. And actually, given my anxiety about pregnancy, having an additional check-in was actually really helpful. And the mental health team here has been really proactive about making sure that I feel settled. They've given me like 1 billion appointments to like make sure that I know what's going on, like, and they've all been really lovely, and I've just felt really at ease by that experience. So feeling really positive, but about like moving
during pregnancy, but yeah, pregnancy is still hard. I mean, even the last 24 hours have been like very tiring. The baby kicks all the time, and which is good. Like, it means the baby is growing, it means the baby is healthy, but it's like all the time, and it's very strong. And I'm quite sensitive to that experience, that feeling, that sensation. Like, it doesn't make me feel very good. Like, sometimes she'll kick me in a place and I'll be like, now I want to vomit. Like, and yes, it's the miracle of life. Yes, it's lovely. Yes, it's really good to know that she's moving. And no, I would not want it to stop. But it is just draining and tiring to like be kicked in the middle of the night, or all night and all day. And there is now a fear that she will just not sleep when she arrives this side, you know, when she enters the world as well. So yeah, but anyway, so not much writing got done this week, but that's okay. I'm also just having to give myself grace and say, like, some things I gotta give. So yeah, but hopefully this was an interesting and helpful video for some of you. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I'll try and do some more regular updates about pregnancy, especially if things kind of go a bit haywire, or if they don't. But yeah, subscribe, like. I look forward to seeing you in another video. Bye.